Hi, welcome to It's Your Business. My name is Cindy Doherty and I'll be your host this evening. Tonight we're going to welcome from Beachmont Players Steve Phelan and Darcy Little. Hi guys.
Hi,
nice,
thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
First of all, I know that you both have been involved with Beachmont Players for a while. Darcy, how long have you been involved with the group?
About 2 years now. About 2 years.
Steve, you about that same?
Just a little
amount?
bit longer than that, yeah.
Okay. Well, Beachmont Players I know has been around for quite a while. How long have they actually been in existence?
Since 1959. And
59?
we actually have one of the founding members who will be directing our show in August.
Really? Who would that be?
Larry Beheimer is his name.
I've heard the name Larry Beheimer a lot in connection with Beachmont Players.
And in fact, the gentleman who's directing our next show is Ed Spencer, who has been with us for 52 of the 54 years.
Wow. They must enjoy it. They
Yes.
would have been there
They
that
do.
long. That's great. Obviously, it's a theater group. What types of productions do you all work with, Darcy?
All kinds. We do everything from farces to dramas to musicals to kids shows. I mean, you name it, we do it. And we try to get a good mix in every season of a different, something that would appeal to all kinds of different people.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Right.
Wide appeal. Can you give some examples of, Steve, some of the plays or the productions you've done recently?
Well, recently we've done On the Razzle, which was a farce with the plot line that closely mirrored Hello, Dolly. We did Arthur Miller's All My Sons, a very, very serious drama.
Right.
And we just finished Annie, a very family-friendly musical. It sold out the entire run.
I bet. Very popular. That's great. How many members are involved with Beachmont Players? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, probably about
I know there are a
200
lot.
active members as of right now.
200?
About, yes.
That's a lot. And obviously, not everybody's involved in every production.
Right,
So
right.
once you decide that you're going to put on a particular play or musical, how does that all happen? I mean, you have to pull from this group of volunteers. Is that difficult to get people to volunteer for?
It can be, but usually it isn't. We will assign a director at the beginning of the year. Each director knows which of the 4 shows they're going to do, and they pick a producer, and then between them, the 2 of them start picking their production team, which includes everything from stage manager to the people who will do props and set construction and costumes and so on.
So you don't have to be an actor to be involved. I think sometimes people, think in terms of Beachmont Players acting.
Right.
But there are lots of other areas that people who wanted to be involved could be.
Absolutely. I mean, if you
doing.
like writing and editing, you can help us with our program, or you can help with publicity. If you like clothes and costumes, you can be a costumer for a show. If you're a technical person, you can work on our lighting or our sound. I mean, whatever. It's very translatable to all kinds of occupations you might have in your day-to-day life. You can definitely put those to good use with the Beachmont Players, too.
Probably more behind the scenes
Sure. Yes.
involvement than in front of the audience.
And if you don't
Absolutely.
want any real responsibility, you can do something as simple as just pushing pieces of the set around during the show.
So if somebody just wanted to be involved in some very minimal level,
Sure.
just
absolutely.
to be around the production, that's great.
So you earn the right to go to the parties, which is the really fun part.
I knew there was a reason for that. That's great. I know we talked about, Steve, when you and I talked earlier about how amazing it is to go from nothing to putting on a production and how much cooperation that takes from a large body of individuals, and how really amazing that is. Can you talk a little bit about that? How everything has to come together in order to, either one of you, Darcy or Steve?
Well, Darcy, you've produced shows. Why don't you start?
Sure. I mean, you kind of start with a blank slate. And I mean, we talked about a producer earlier, and what a producer does, some people don't know, they take charge of everything a director doesn't have to worry about.
Okay.
The director's sole responsibility is the actors, making sure that they're memorizing their lines, that they get their blocking, which is how you move around on stage, making sure that that's set. So the producer is in charge of making sure you have somebody good who's running the lights and designing the lighting design, somebody good who's designing the sound and operating the sound, and making, and as small as making sure that somebody who's doing the lobby display is getting what they need to do to get the lobby display up that people see when they walk into the lobby.
A lot of details.
Yes, the little details that you don't even think about is what a producer handles. So with the producer working to get their team assembled and the director working with the actors, you could start really fleshing out that blank slate that you start with. And you know, it's so funny with theater because I feel like every show I've been a part of, you always get to this point when you're like, how is this going to come together? How is this going to work? But it always does. The show must go on. And you know, once you have a good crew in place, thanks to the producer, and solid actors, thanks to the director, I mean, you have no choice but to have the show come alive because you're opening. And I mean, I think everybody kicks into gear.
There's a deadline. Yeah.
There is an absolute deadline, and there's going to be people watching you with that deadline. So, I mean, and everybody's so passionate about it. And that's the other great thing, too. People are passionate, and when they're passionate, it comes together.
That's probably a big key to that because it's a huge amount of cooperation has to take place in order to bring it all together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
When you think about it, we probably put in several thousand hours of work over the course of a show.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
At least a couple thousand. And a show might begin maybe 8 to 12 weeks ahead of time with the director and the producer meeting, and then by the time it wraps up, everybody has put in all those hours and everything's gone. You start with a totally blank stage, you end with a totally blank stage. And it's an amazing thing to have produced something like that in the process.
I'm sure it is. It you know, makes me think that other facets of our society, it would be nice if we could have that kind of enthusiastic cooperation to get things done like that. Because that's really great. So you put on 4 productions a year, you said?
We do.
Okay. And I know you're a nonprofit, so how do you fund all of this that you do?
Well, in multiple ways. We have wonderful sponsors. We have ticket sales, and then if you want to be a member of Beachmont Players, there are also membership dues. It's $10 for a year for a single membership, or $15 for a family/household membership.
So it's very affordable.
Very much so.
And we sell advertising in the program, and we have a seasoned sponsor this year. It's Cincinnati Federal Savings. So
great.
There's money coming in from several sources. People even donate money, which is wonderful.
That's always helpful. In case you're just joining us, we are talking today with Steve Phelan and Darcy Little from Beachmont Players. Moving ahead, I know that this is really an Anderson-focused group. I'm guessing most of the actors and the technical people come from this area, and most of the people who come to see the productions are from this area. How do you feel that Beachmont Players affects the residents of Anderson Township in a positive way?
Well, first, you'd be surprised. I mean, we get people from all over. During Annie, we had one little girl come up from Lexington, Kentucky to be in our show. And we have people come all the way up from Dayton and Middletown, Ohio to be in our shows, too.
That's interesting.
Right. And I mean, I grew up in Middletown, Ohio, and my parents, before I even got involved in Beachmont Players, they said, "Oh, when you moved to Anderson, maybe check out that Beachmont Player." Like, they knew about Beachmont Players before I ever did.
So it's pretty well known.
It's pretty well known in this area, which is something to say. And again, I think that means great things for Anderson Township. To address your second point, it's a great thing for the area. It brings money in. It gets people to see our beautiful place in which we live and experience the wonderful Anderson Center, and
encourages the arts, involvement in the arts.
Which
is great.
When you think about it, there aren't a huge number of ways to experience live theater anymore. Now, in Cincinnati, we have a very vibrant theater community, so I don't mean that it's not available, but people tend to watch TV, movies, things like that much more. This is a chance for someone to come and, for a very, very modest price, see very good live theater.
Absolutely.
Maybe, with any luck, I'd say probably 80% of our audience comes from the immediate Anderson community. And it's a chance for them to just come over, drive a very short distance, and and enjoy that.
And I mean, you can make an entire evening out of it. You've got the production, you've got good restaurants, you can
food,
you know.
Yep, absolutely.
And just to go back just for a minute, you talked about the little girl from Lexington. You said came up. I just wanted to mention that everybody involved in your productions comes from a variety of backgrounds. I understand lots of different careers, different circumstances. I mean, you really draw from a variety of individuals. which is another thing that I think is really neat about it.
We've got folks who are retired. We have all kinds of people in business. We have lawyers and people in public relations. And the one that really amazed me the other day was our costume mistress was an FBI agent.
I think we talked about that.
and
That's
Yeah, so you'll get
really
people
unusual.
from just all over the place, just because they love theater.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, we just wrapped up a show, The Passion of Dracula, and somebody involved in the show made a comment, like, that's what I love about theater. She says that people who otherwise would never have met each other get to meet each other.
right.
Yeah.
That is very unique about that. We also talked, Steve, you and I talked about how being involved with a group such as this promotes professionalism. Can you explain what you meant by that? I thought that was an interesting comment.
Everybody in community theater feels like they could step in on Broadway pretty much any time they had to. And they just can't do it because they're tied up with their regular business and things like that. And I don't know that we are Broadway level, but I do think that people treat it very seriously. They treat it, this is a profession to them, even though it's kind of a hobby at the same time. So, would you agree?
Definitely, I would agree. And there's something to be said about, we're not getting paid for any of this.
Right.
And you would think, oh, they're not getting paid, so they don't put lots of effort into it. But it's almost, we're doing it because we love it. So we want to do it even better because we're not worried about a salary or a paycheck at the end of the day. We're doing it because we just have a passion for theater and we have a passion for each other and we just like coming together and doing this.
It's almost like being in the military. When you're in something like this, you don't want to let the people you're working with down because you like them so much. So you trust them and they trust you to do the very best that you can. And that produces a really great product.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And we don't want to let our audiences down either.
Exactly. I mean, you're out there in front of everybody. You want to look good. You want to make the group look good. I hear what you're saying.
Right.
And it amazed me. Even we talked about some of the people that volunteer, like to transport sets, or the companies that will help out however they can. And again, it's just, to me, amazing the cooperation that you all get from different places. If someone were interested in becoming involved with Beachmont Players, how would they do that?
Well, they can contact me if they like, or any one of us, Steve, anybody on our board. First of all, our website is www.beachmontplayers.org.
Okay.
I definitely recommend that you stay up to date with that. It has all of our contact information on there. And then if you want to be a member, you certainly don't have to be a member to come to our membership meetings. We welcome everybody to come learn about us, but there certainly are perks to being a member. You can definitely look into that. All the benefits to being a member are on the website. You get advance notice about auditions. You get our award-winning newsletter every month. So you could just email us and then we can get you set up.
Great.
Or if they want, they can also call us at 233-2468. So that's our ticket line, and we take messages off there all the time.
We like to talk, so we'll talk to anybody.
Well, this goes so quickly. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but I would like to thank you, Steve and Darcy, for being our guests today. We appreciate that very much, and learning about Beachmont Players. It's been great.
Well,
Thank you for having us.
I also like to thank our audience for joining us. I'm Cindy Doherty. Please join us again next time for It's Your Business.